If you're a drone pilot in the United States, then there is a new test that the FAA wants you to take. It is impossible to fail the test, and no one will remember that you took or passed the test. Like, they're not keeping a record or anything. But you will get a certificate that says that you passed the test, that you're going to be legally required to have with you anytime you're flying your drone, and will be expected to produce whenever a law enforcement official or FAA person asks you for it. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and I'm going to take that test today. And we'll talk about it. Because it's crazy. It's crazy. What is happening? Roll the intro. The test that the FAA wants you to take is the recreational UAS safety test, also known as trust. And the first thing you should know is that trust only applies to people who are flying drones recreationally. Now, even if you have a 107 certificate, which I do, you may still sometimes elect to fly under recreational rules, assuming the flight is non-commercial in nature. So just because you have a 107, don't assume that this doesn't apply to you. In fact, I'm going to recommend that if you fly drones at all in the United States, you take 15 freaking minutes out of your day and just jump through this little stupid hoop. How stupid? Wait, you'll see. Now, another question that some people have asked is, do I have to take the trust test if my drone is less than 250 grams, or here in the freedom units, 0.55 pounds? And the answer to that is yes, you do. If it's under 250 grams or 0.55 pounds, you do not have to register it, which is kind of silly because as a recreational pilot, you don't register individual drones anyway. You register one time yourself, you pay $5, and then you get an FAA number that applies to all of your drones. But if you only flew sub 250 drones, then maybe you wouldn't have done that and you wouldn't have to register, but you still are expected to have the test. And let's be clear that the FAA does not consider this to be just some BS hoop that you have to jump through. There's something going on here because they expect you. Where does it say this? It doesn't say it. Well, I can't seem to find this on the FAA site, but I remember reading that you're supposed to have the certificate with you when you fly, and that law enforcement or the FAA is allowed to ask you to produce the certificate. The best resource I could find is IEEE Spectrum, which is a fairly reliable source, I suppose. I do believe that's true. So let's go ahead and find somewhere to take the test, and there are a bunch of places to take the test. It's worth pointing out that all of the places that are officially authorized to give the test, one of the requirements is that they are not allowed to charge for it. So I've heard of a couple of websites out there that are trying to act like they're offering the trust test and they're charging money. They're just trying to rip you off. Do not pay to take this test. Is it even really a test? It's more like a training. So let's pick one. I think we'll go to Chippewa Valley Technical College. Why not? And here we go. Blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Requirements. Fly for recreational purposes only. Follow a CBO guidelines. Keep your drone in visual line of sight. Always give way, never interfere. Airspace authorization before flying in controlled airspace. That's like Lance. The AirMap app can do that. Don't fly higher than 400 feet above the ground. Pass this test. And register and mark your drone. We'll learn more about those. Flying for recreational purposes means flying only for fun. Flying for any reason other than for fun is not allowed under the exception for recreational flyers. You must get a Part 107 if you are flying for any reason other than for fun. Okay. So far, this is way less stupid than I kind of thought it was going to be. Like, this is valid information for people flying remote control aircraft to know. A recreational flyer is a person who only flies their UAS for fun. Key distinction here, if you're flying in furtherance of any commercial enterprise, it doesn't matter if you're getting paid. So like if your brother is a real estate agent and says, hey, can you come take some video of this house for me? Even if he doesn't pay you, even if he doesn't even buy you dinner, what a cheapskate. Your brother, what's wrong with him? No wonder he is failing as a real estate agent. You got to take care of people. Anyway, even if you don't accept anything of value in exchange for it, the fact that you did it in furtherance of a commercial interest means it's a 107 flight. Okay. Does not need airspace authorization in uncontrolled airspace. There will be a TFR. How can a recruit find information about the airspace in their area? Yes. Get airspace authorization, Lance or drone zone. Do not call the cops. Do not call your control tower. Where is controlled airspace? That's the maximum altitude a drone can fly without authorization. Make sure your drone is good. You know what? Let's just check for weather. Let's just see if we can take the questions. Get the questions right. What should a recreational flyer do to reduce the chance of an accident with another craft? That's probably it. Yeah, they don't want you using aviation radio. They for sure, they don't want you calling pilots on aviation radio. And they don't consider FPV capabilities to be sufficient to maintain situational awareness. Checking your drone before and after each flight is a good idea because it's a time when damage can be added. That's true for FPV pilots for damn sure. Who makes sure a drone does not fly too high? It's always the pilot's responsibility. And the fixed site operations boss doesn't exist. That's just a distractor. Who's responsible for the drone in flight? The pilot, always. Recreational flyers should be aware that some medications can affect their ability to fly safely. False. No, true. Must be aware that windy conditions can make a drone more difficult to control. Now we're going to talk about CBOs. VLOS. A recreational flyer must follow the safety guidelines developed by a CBO. AMA is a CBO. It's the most common CBO that you might operate under, and you would operate under their safety guidelines. I think FPV Freedom Coalition is trying to be a CBO, but I'm not sure what the status of that is as of now. Recreational flyer must always keep a drone in their visual line of sight. Oh, I clicked the wrong freaking thing. Okay, true. Oh, see. Oh, it doesn't even kick you back. You just click. Yeah. Oops. So this is an interesting one because if you have FPV goggles on your face, then your drone is not in your visual line of sight. That's obvious, should be obvious. The way that's typically handled is that you would have a spotter who was there keeping the drone in visual line of sight, and then they would be in contact with the pilot, and that's legal. Although I'm wondering if that's available to recreational pilots. Have they discussed having a spotter, or is that only a 107? I basically always assume I'm flying 107, so I haven't really thought a lot about the recreational guidelines. Let's go on. When using FPV, the visual observer must all of the above. Okay, so I see. So the test seems to be making a distinction between beyond visual line of sight and having goggles on your face. They're saying you're not allowed to fly beyond visual line of sight as a recreational flyer or as a 107 pilot without a waiver, which they've only granted, I think, one BVLOS waiver ever. But if you have goggles on your face, you can have a spotter, and the spotter has to be co-located with you. People sometimes ask, well, what if the spotter's over there and we're on a radio or a phone? The FAA doesn't consider that to be valid, and the spotter has to keep the drone in sight at all times. Oh, there it is. If asked by law enforcement or FAA personnel, a recreational flyer must provide proof of drone registration and that they have completed this course. These documents should be in paper or electronic format. So that's where they say that they want you to have this proof. They must also be able to explain which FAA recognized CBO safety guidelines they're following. Hello, officer. I am following the AMA safety guidelines. A recreational flyer should know how their drone will respond before using any automated functions. True. Before flying your drone, you're not going to be flying over people because that's not allowed. That's a trick question. Read the safety information. What must a recreational flyer provide to law enforcement or the FAA? All of the above. FAA registration number must be displayed on the outside surface of the drone. All drones must be registered with the FAA. True. And I've completed it. Oh, I'm so lucky. And where's my certificate? The tab key doesn't work. Screw you, Unify. Okay, great. So exciting. Oh boy. Gotta print this and put it in my wallet. In conclusion, what's the point of this? And is it good or bad? I originally went into this video with the suspicion that this was stupid, a waste of time, and bad. That this was essentially a way of making it easier for law enforcement to run pilots away by accusing them of violations of some rule. And I still think that there's some truth to that. The rules around flying drones are very, very complicated, and police officers often don't know the intricacies of complicated laws. Then, strangely enough, they're not actually even required to. So by making a simple, do you have this certificate or not requirement, they make it easier for them to basically run us off. I mean, some people will have the certificate, but a lot of won't. But there's more. I see that there's more to it, because the information that they present you in this test is very, very simple, very, very basic information that everyone flying a drone should know. And before you say, screw the FAA, I'm not following those rules, I'm going to fly FPV without a spotter, for example, I have a firm belief that if you choose to break the law, you should at least know what law you're breaking. And in this case, just educating people about what the FAA's expectations are about the law doesn't seem like a bad thing. This was not as dumb as I thought it would be. Now you go do it, because I figure almost everybody watching this video, not everybody, but most people watching this video already know most of this stuff. Tick the box, jump through the hoop, and then get your beautiful little certificate to print out. Thanks for watching. Happy flying.
You guys, I don't know where I am, and I don't know what's going to happen, but if I don't make it out of this, I just want to know that you subscribe to my channel, or maybe join my Patreon, or click one of these videos I picked out for you.